In this video, I'm going to walk you through the upgrade process from moving from version 3.0.x up to version 3.1, the latest release of the Virtual Identity Server. Of particular note, if you're running an older version, meaning 2.x of VIS, please contact support at support@optimalidm.com for us to help walk you through. There are a few additional steps, and we can walk you through that process. Most customers are on the 3.x code stream, and this is a very easy upgrade. We've provided this video here. One, to do the upgrade, help you do the upgrade, see what's different. Two, there's a part 2 of this video series that then shows some of the advanced features in 3.1. Of particular note would be around the VisAdmins group, and I'm actually going to show you that here in this system. So I have VIS up and running. You can see the service there, and I'm going to show you something. In particular, what happened with the 3.1 code stream is we've changed how VIS admin groups works. Just to kind of recap that functionality and how it works is, VIS, after you do a bind, when you go to do another operation, a search, modify, delete, VIS checks to see what admin groups you have. Of course, you could have more than one, right? More than one admin group. Checks to see group membership, sees if you're in the groups that are defined here. The default one that the product puts down is pointing to the domain admins group. You, of course, could change this to any group you want, dynamic group, static group, a real AD group, and VIS simply checks the group membership to see if you're in this group to perform the operations. It's a level of security within VIS. So let's take a look at this top connection. You see that I have a connection up here to Active Directory, to VIS, and you can see the OU equals AD proxy into Active Directory. This credentials that I'm connecting in through VIS on this particular one, I'm connecting in with the administrator account, which is a domain administrator in this particular case. So that's why I have access. I am in the domain admins group, so it is allowing me to search, modify, delete. These other connections down here that I have the VIS, in particular read user 1 and write user 1, both of these users are non-domain admins, and you can see I get an error 50 when trying to search the directory with either of those accounts. They're not in the domain admins group, so VIS is denying, and it would deny search, modify, or delete. So everything's working as designed. What we're now going to do is do the upgrade to 3.1. You'll see it works still exactly the same way, and then in part 2, I'll show you how you can take advantage of the feature of the VisAdmins group and what we've done specifically for that. So first step, let's exit out of the management console and let's stop the VIS service. Okay. Now I've already copied down the binaries, so normally step 1, anytime you want to go do this, is back up your existing bin directory. So what I will do is I will rename this to bin.old, and I will rename my bin directory bin.new to just bin. So I've already overlaid the binaries here, and again, you just simply copy over the binaries, and you can see this is 3.1.13. Again, the release that goes out to the field may be a little bit newer than the release I'm working with here. This is just to show you how to do the upgrade. I'm going to do the same thing to the management console. I'm going to name that .old, and I'm going to rename this to management console from .new, and I'm running the latest release of this, which is 4.1. So we've basically done the upgrade right now. Overlaid the binaries into both of those directories, of course, backed them up. The only thing we need to do now is two steps. One, I want to show you this first. Looking in the config directory, you can see I have a visconfig XML. That is my XML file that we were using and looking at there before. I'm going to first start the service. Now, the service should start up. If your service doesn't start up, it may be related to the schema, although the schema still may need to be updated of the viz config instance itself. So my service started up, which is great. One thing we're going to see here is it backed up my existing XML file and called it 3.0 and gave it a date timestamp of today, and then it upgraded my XML file automatically. So we're going to go take a look at the configurations. Of particular note, when you launch VIS, or the management console after starting VIS, management console checks with VIS, connects over to the LDAP, and looks at the schema. If right now we potentially could have gotten a warning message to say that the schema was out of date, and it's talking about the visconfig schema, and it would have said, "Would you like to update it?" Then, if it said yes, you would click, or you could click yes to the prompt, and it would take you right to the screen where you could perform the upgrade of the schema. So before you have the applications kind of hit it, first go into the management console here and check to make sure that the schema doesn't need to be updated. I've kind of done that. So now I can check just to make sure that we still have the same functionality, and we can see I can browse OU equals AD. I can see these given users. We can do an update, but I don't think so. And read user 1 still receives the error 50, as well as write user 1. So perfect. We can see that the functionality is working exactly the same way. What I'm going to do now is show you what changed. So we have the same functionality, but a few things changed in terms of the configuration within the product. First thing you notice is under this viz admins, you'll see still the same admin group, right? So nothing changed there. But we have this new associated bind profile. So what is that? Well, let's first see that we've got one called AD admin rights. It's pointing to the Visa AD, which is my Active Directory, and it's connected to or associated to this bind profile called AD admin rights. Notice on this viz config, we have viz config admin rights. It's to the viz config Visa, which is our system Visa, right? It's pointing to a bind profile of viz config admin rights. So let's go take a look at those bind profiles and what they do. And you can see, of course, an enabled checkbox to enable those. So looking down at the AD one and looking at the connections, we can also see there's this new Visa bind profiles, right? First thing is at the connections, and again, you could also have more than one connection, right, within there for failover or load balance. First thing you'll notice as an existing VIS customer is that the LDAP host is here in the port, but there's no connection information, or connection information in terms of bind, the user ID and the password to connect to the directory, the database. This has been moved down here to this viz bind profile, and you can see we have one called AD admin rights. Now, the reason we did this is so that we can have n number of bind profiles, meaning back-end connections. So the concept here is I could have one bind profile for read access to the Active Directory and one with write and read access to the Active Directory. So you then tie those up here to the admin groups. Then based on the group membership, it would use the appropriate profile that you've defined down here. So it hits a common use case and scenario that customers were asking for, was to be able to have some people connecting to VIS have read access and some have write access. So you can easily do that. And of course, using dynamic groups with your admin groups, you could be very interesting in terms of your configuration on how you do that. It doesn't have to be a physical group, right? So now take a look down here at our system Visa. So basically the profile, or the upgrade rather, did and updated our profiles, created this, took our XML file and made the changes to the connections over here to the bind profiles. You didn't have to do anything. It was already done. We can still do the test successful on that as well as on the read permission. So it migrated our XML file and made that automatically available for use. So we're upgraded. We're up and running with pretty much the exact same configuration, really. Just migrated to the 3.1 code stream, and we saw that we could browse the directory appropriately for admin users. That's all we have now. Any questions with the upgrade, please contact us at support@optimalidm.com. We appreciate having you as a customer, and take a look at video number 2 of this series to see how to configure the product to do that read-write scenario that I just described. Again, thank you for your time.